Whether you're wading through the streams, whether you're walking through the woods, or whether you're swimming in a lake, you gotta live life like you should, 'cause it's coming, it's coming back for you. Mystery Mondays, oh, it's coming back to you, child. Whether you're working on a farm, whether you're working in a city, whether you're sleeping in a barn or about to get jiggy, oh, it's coming, Lord, it's coming back to you. Mystery Mondays, oh, it's coming back to you, child. Yes, it's coming, oh, it's coming back to you. Mystery Mondays, oh, it's coming back to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Mr. Mondays.
Welcome once again to Mystery Mondays. Hope you enjoyed our little intro today. That was inspired by my good friend down in the bio, Sheriff Hoyt. Shout out to the sheriff, always taking time off, you know, hunting outlaws and bandits and stuff to
shouts to the sheriff
to play and showcase some good blues and old school country. Hope everyone's had a good week out there. We're going to bring you some fascinating facts again this week. Have any of you guys heard of the missing 411?
No.
The missing
No.
411.
I should probably say. My cousin Emma's here with us in the studio this week. Thanks for coming on, Emma. Emma's doing some work experience with us. If you can call this work. So
Having fun.
Emma's sitting in on Mystery Mondays. Yeah, so you guys nobody's ever heard of the missing 411
I have
cases?
not heard of it.
I've heard of a 9/11, but that's a...
Yeah, that's an emergency in America, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so the missing 411 cases, there is actually a documentary about it. It's basically all going on about... missing 411 cases are like a compilation of all these different cases that have happened in America where people have just like randomly disappeared. So I think that, you know, remember I did that one about that little boy, I can't remember his name now, and he disappeared, and he just disappeared without a trace.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
And someone thought they saw that guy that was like running through,
But he was just like never found again. And he just like disappeared off the face of the earth, even though there were like hundreds of people searched for him, and literally like army rangers and everything were like looking for him. So I think that would fall under the missing 411. So basically the idea is just that like in America every year, especially like in wilderness areas, lots of people just like disappear without a trace. Some of them are like found again, and some of them are just like turn up like and they're unharmed. Some of them just like never get seen again. Some of them are found dead. But like regardless, it's just there's a lot of like strange, mysterious like disappearances that happen in the wilderness in America, like every single year, and have done pretty much since the dawn of time. And with like the two cases that I'm talking about today, on the 411, on the missing 411, both of these people were found again, but both had really strange stories about what happened to them when they were gone.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, like really, really weird. And they were both children, but it's just like, yeah, just really bizarre cases.
On the sort of same lines, have you ever been in America and had an Amber Alert?
No.
Like, it's so weird when you go over there.
Well, like a weather alert? Is that like a weather alert?
No. It's like just missing people. But your phone will just start buzzing. Like, you'll be like driving somewhere and everyone's phone will just start going off. You're like, whoa, what's this? You look down, it's like an Amber Alert for like a small child. It's like
that's pretty cool. That they can actually text your
It's like fully programmed to everyone's phones that if someone goes missing.
I know that it also happens with like extreme weather like in America and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if there's going to be a tornado or something, you'll just get like a message like, get the shelter now. It's like a tornado.
That's handy.
It is handy, isn't it? I remember like Jim Carrey said that he like had this full on like his life like flash before his eyes, because I can't remember where he said he was. It was somewhere like Hawaii or somewhere like that. And anyway, they'd something had like gone wrong with like the nuclear mainframe, and they thought that they basically thought that it was going to be like a Chernobyl type thing, but that there was like no way out. And basically everyone got like an alert on their phone saying that they were going to like die in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's been like a couple of things. Like once they said that there was literally a nuke coming.
Yeah.
Like
it might have been that, like a nuke, or either that, it was like their nuclear reactor was going to blow up, or the nuke was on their way, or something like that. And he said that like weirdly, because obviously it's strange, because obviously it turned out to just be like a fault. It was all like it happened as a result as like a fault, not actually anything like
oopsie daisy.
But he said it was like really weird, because he said that like, you know, you never know what you're going to be like in that situation. But he said that he just like sat down on the bed in his hotel room, and he just like had this real like overwhelming sense of almost like calm, and he had like his assistant there with him, and he was just like, Mary, can you text everyone at home and just tell them that I love them, and that, you know, that I'm always going to be with them and everything. He said he just sat there, and almost like this weird wave of just like bliss just like ran over him.
Whoa.
And he just like completely accepted his fate. And then like randomly like 10 minutes later, he just like sat there with his eyes shut, and then 10 minutes later it was like on the news suddenly and everything, it was like, you know, like massive like false alarm. Yeah, and everyone was just like but imagine how crazy that would be.
That's like a red alert, man. That's not even an amber alert.
That was just on like the Graham Norton show. I watched that because I think he just like happened to be like scheduled on like a week after it happened.
I remember when that happened, and like seeing on Twitter that just they'd sent out just this like message, and it was literally just like nuke inbound, like red alert, nuke inbound or something, get under your tables or something like that.
Crazy.
Why I don't understand why it was sent out. Or like, or how it could have been.
Yeah,
was
I mean,
like a test thing that they were trying to do, or like, you know what I mean?
I think it must have literally just been a complete accident.
That's bad. I'm surprised like people that didn't create mass chaos.
I'm pretty sure it did.
Streets,
I'm pretty sure it did, but obviously it only lasted luckily about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it did sort of like people were not happy about it for like weeks after.
I would definitely not be happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would sketch you out, wouldn't it? Anyway. Let's talk about where Lillian Carney went when she disappeared on Sunday the 8th of August 1897. That's right, folks, the ambiance has hit us.
I'm excited for this.
1897 as well, it's quite an old one.
That's good. So there's two little cases today. I thought I'd do them both because they're really similar cases, and they both fall under the missing 411. And I do think the whole missing 411 thing in America is fascinating. So if you guys, anybody out there like today listening, likes these stories, look up missing 411. So we'll do Lillian Carney first, and then we'll move on to the case of John Doe. On Sunday the 8th of August, 1897, Mr. and Mrs. Carney decided to go out blueberry picking in the Mullen Bog, which is situated just west of Aroostook River in Marcety, Maine. This entire region is surrounded by dense forests and secluded lakes, and is just 15 miles from the Canadian border. They brought their daughter Lillian with them. She was only 6 years and 5 months old at the time, and so when she wandered away from her parents, a search party was quickly organised. She would not be seen again for 2 days, or 46 hours to be precise, and when she was found, she had a bizarre story to tell. As soon as her parents realised that she was missing and that she could not be located after an initial hour of searching around their camp, they called for assistance and were rewarded with an extensive search that lasted until midnight that night. On Monday morning, 200 concerned citizens joined the search effort, combing every inch of the forest, but without finding a single trace of the lost child. The distraught family and their friends ended up staying in the dense woods throughout both of the nights that she was missing. 1 day later, on Tuesday morning, 300 men turned up to the ever-growing search effort. It was roughly 10 a.m. when one Mr. Bert Pollard found Lillian 2 or 3 miles from where she had started. Despite being missing for several nights, she was perfectly calm and collected, perfectly clean, and simply asked where her mother was. There were some wild berries in her hand, but she said she wouldn't want to eat them for fear that they might negatively impact her health. Guns were fired as joyful signals, and the steam whistle at the local Simpson mill sounded to alert people that the child had been found.
Aww.
Tired but satisfied, everyone returned to their daily business. Yeah, so like nice that she actually was found and everything, obviously. Much better than that one with that poor little lad that I read out before.
How old was this little girl?
6.5 years old.
6.5.
Whoa, and she was just so completely calm.
Yeah, this is one of the weird things about it. She was like, she was completely fine. She was completely clean.
I wouldn't like to eat these swears, but in case it negatively impacts my health.
yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? I mean, this is one of the things that's like a bit weird about the case, though, because you think that like, even like an adult, if you like were lost in the woods for 2 nights, like that'd be pretty sketchy.
Oh man,
I know
after one night I'd be sketched out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know like a lot of adults that would be like terrified in that situation.
Yeah.
Let alone like a little girl. You think that should
I'd be definitely eating into my fat reserves.
And also, like, I know that my daughter's a lot younger. She's only like 2.5, but like if she can like wander down the garden for like half an hour and she'll be like covered in like mud and stuff.
Yeah,
Let alone spend like 2 nights alone in the woods and then just be like perfectly clean.
Yeah,
like,
that's weird.
I feel like kids sometimes have like some weird superpower where they almost don't like understand the gravitas of like a situation. So like for a situation like that,
ignorance is bliss, mate.
Exactly. Maybe that explains maybe to her it's like a bit of a game and she was almost playing like a hide and seek sort of thing.
I remember when I was in America, I hid in some clothes, like in a mall, in a massive mall. I was like a baby or really young, and like my mum and dad were worried. They got the police like going around the mall and you know and everything.
Whereabouts in America was that?
Like in Florida.
Oh yeah.
And they thought I'd been kidnapped from the mall. And I was do you know you get like those clothes rails and they're in circles?
Yeah.
I was just a weird little kid and I just like snuck in there and I was just in there hiding.
You were like, this is really good. Man, I'd be really angry.
And then
if
I got out and then I
that.
didn't know where mum and dad was and I was like, oh god, been in there a bit too long. And literally, yeah, it was peaceful looking and everything. I got a slapped ass, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd have been really angry with Evie if she'd done that. It's the sort of thing you do when you're a little kid, isn't it? They're just impish.
But that's what I mean. You don't think it's a bad thing, but obviously that's a really bad thing. So yes, on your point of not understanding the consequences.
For sure.
Anyway, getting back to the case. So the girl was found. She was absolutely fine. Everyone was obviously ridiculously relieved. But when she was questioned about what had happened while she was missing, this is when things like get a little bit weird. She just got like a really weird account of what she said. She simply said that, people asked her like, what did you do in the nighttime and stuff, and like, weren't you scared? And she just simply said, no, the sun shined all the time in the woods, which has struck many a researcher, including expert David Paulides, who's like become like who's like devoted his life basically to trying to crack all these like 411 cases and find out what's going on. It struck everybody, including David Paulides, as being extremely odd. When asked further about her experience and what happened for the entire 2 days she was gone, she claimed that she had heard some people talking a day previously, and a lot of people have presumed that this was the search party that she overheard. But she said that she kept still for fear that they might have been what she described as tramps.
Oh, might be tramps.
No, I didn't go to them because I thought they might be tramps.
Disgruntled badger.
Yeah. She also claimed to have seen little creatures, roughly the size of her cat. But when they got too close, she clapped her hands to scare them away because she thought that's what her parents would have wanted her to do. The local newspaper speculated that these could have been rabbits, but her parents and other people have said, being a 6.5-year-old girl, she knows what a rabbit is. She wouldn't have said it was some weird creature the size of my cat. So it's just all a bit strange, really. It's just like, So according to her, the whole time she was gone, the sun shone brightly in the woods, and there were these strange little creatures the size of cats that kept coming up to her. It is interesting to note the similarities between this 1897 case and some of the more modern 411 missing 411 cases. People who are victims of this bizarre phenomenon usually swiftly vanish without a trace and then turn up either dead or alive quite close to where they originally disappeared from. And this is certainly true for Lillian. Another odd link between this case and other missing 411 cases is the activity of berry picking. Take that as what you are. A lot of people, like, when they go missing, start off picking berries and then just seem to disappear after that.
Whoa.
This has been noted by David Paulides, the expert, as being a strange constant in at least several of the cases. We also have the manner in which the child seems to have been unaware that anyone was looking for her and remained perfectly calm throughout this whole ordeal, despite being missing for 2 days and with over 300 people searching and shouting for her in close to where she was found. I would almost say that she experienced something like a jump forwards in time. There one moment and then not there anymore, until 2 days later at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning, Paula Dees said. Where did she go? Well, Paula Dees implied on a podcast called Where Did the Road Go that he is of the opinion that the so-called sun seen by Lillian was actually some sort of artificial light source. But where would you have found artificial lights in the forest in the late 1800s?
The only other thing I think is, could it have been like a full moon and then
Yes.
like be really bright from
That's
like
what some people did theorise. But then again, I mean, even on the brightest of full moons, there's a big difference between
night and day.
Yeah.
like a sunny day and like a full moon night. Especially think as well,
It's
like if
still
you were
light, but it's very different.
and especially if you were like in the middle of a forest, like the trees are probably going to block out a lot of that light, and it's going to be pretty dark.
I was going to say maybe she just slept through the night and like didn't see the darkness, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's not one of those things, isn't it? It's not like, it's just a bit weird.
yeah.
You know, the fact that she said like it was bright, it was like the sun was shining the whole time. And I said she's 6.5. I mean, as I said, my daughter was only 2.5. But I mean, I'd be able to get enough sense out of her. Do you know what I mean? So like a 6.5-year-old, you'd think would be able to, would like have enough wits about them. So the fact that she said it was like sunny the whole time, that that she was going on these, and also just the little weird creatures, the cat-sized creatures that kept coming up to her. I just thought that was quite interesting. Like, what was that all about? And the fact, as I said, also that she was completely clean and just completely fine and calm. As I said, I think that anybody, regardless of your age, you'd be at least like a little bit distraught if you were like lost for 2 entire days.
Yeah.
You'd be like freaking
It's
out.
a long time, man.
Do you know what it
Especially
reminds
a
me
kid.
a little bit of?
What's that?
Do you remember? I remember we talked about this. I can't remember whether it was on a podcast or whether it was before a pod. It was ages
just
ago.
shooting
Anyway,
the breeze.
yeah, and it was the guy who was with all of the construction workers on the way back, and a load of lumberjacks or something, and then they saw some lights in the forest, so they went in to check it out from the side of the road, and their friend just disappeared. And like literally disappeared for like 2 days. I think it was
even longer. I think it was like a week or something.
Yeah,
and
like completely, and then just turned up like completely naked or something in the middle of the woods or
yeah, I
something.
can't remember if he was naked or not, but yeah, he turned up in that week. It like snowed heavily, so he turned up exactly where he was, but then just like in loads of snow, and then just sort of like wandered into town. And by that point, everyone had thought he was like dead.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And what was his like story?
He said that he said that he'd been like, he woke up in this like straight. He said that he woke up on like an examination table, surrounded by these like weird beings, and that he freaked out. And he said that in hindsight, from like what he remembers of their reaction, he doesn't think that he was supposed to have woken up. It was like you were woken up from anaesthetic or something.
Whoa.
And because they seemed started. And he said that there was like
they
this.
seemed really weak as well, didn't they? Or they were really.
He said that they were physically really weak. So he said he picked up. It almost, what it reminds me of is if like we say like tranquilized like a gorilla or a chimp in the zoo, and then we're like operating them on the table.
Yeah, man.
And then the chimp woke up without expecting it. Do you know what I mean? And think about how much like stronger the chimp would be.
We've definitely not talked about this on the podcast.
No, me and Drew have talked about it, but it was like ages ago. But we'll talk about it again. We'll do like a refresh,
full breakdown, because that sounds insane, that story.
But what made me think of it as well, like when people, have you ever, like hypnosis and stuff, like when people don't remember things, or they get put under hypnosis, and then it will get into like the subconscious part of your brain that's like you're not like kind of aware of. I'd be really interested with that, like with the little girl, or to do
because that's what I think that's what he did, like with that guy, because he said he did loads of hypnosis, and then it's almost like it's like reminded him of more and more stuff, because at first he like didn't know where he'd been. But it was really
go into a trance when you can get put in hypnosis, and like you're almost like accessing parts of your brain that you're not normally aware of,
and they can like leave you with like thoughts. They? Of, like they could have put the idea in the little girl's head of like, oh, I was just walking around and it was sunny the whole time and it was fine.
Yeah, that's true, man. With that guy as well that had been abducted, like I said, we'll talk about it in more depth, but just to sort of like finish off just for today. So he said he woke up on this table and he could tell that they were like, in hindsight, that it probably wasn't meant to happen, because they seemed like really startled. And he said he jumped off the table, and he saw there was almost like what he said described as almost like a clear tube next to him. So he like picked it up almost like to use as like a bat. And he was like, like, what the hell are you? Like, where am I and everything? And he said at first he could tell that they were trying to communicate with him, and they had their arms out almost like. And he said when he got off the table, he like pushed one, and he said and it went like flying. So it was almost like they were clearly extremely intelligent, but they were like really weak physically. Yeah. And then he said they were almost like trying to communicate with him for a second, then realised it wasn't going to do any good, because he was obviously just so freaked out. So he said they just walked out the room, and then randomly, like a human just walked in and was just like, everything's fine. But he said in hindsight, it all just seemed like a little bit off, and nowadays he wonders, like, he thinks that it's like maybe it like wasn't like actually like a human, but it was like something
like a hologram.
But one thing that's really interesting about that case is that he's taken, because so many people have just called like bull on it. This was like 30 years ago or something that happened. I think his name's like Travis something, like Travis Walton or Travis Dalton or something like that. Anyway, so many people have called bull on it that he's taken like 30 lie detectors or maybe more since it happened. He's passed every single lie detector test. Everything he says, he's like passed every single lie detector test, which is just quite interesting. Like, regardless of whatever happened, yet again, it's like a bit with this, it's like wherever he was for that week, that was weird. And all of it, and I said it wasn't even like he was with like friends when he disappeared necessarily. They were acquaintances, but he was working as a lumberjack, so all the lumberjacks were on their way back into town after like a day's work, and they were all just in this like the same like big pickup truck. So it's not even like, you know what I mean, it's like, you know, when you make like silly schemes with your mates, like some of the people he said that like were in the truck with him, he didn't even really get on with, because like some, like I think like one of the guys like liked his missus and that, and they weren't really friends, but like everybody in the truck like corroborates the story that like they saw some flashing lights. Travis like got out, walked like up to it and like got too close, and then when it close, like almost like it looked like almost like he got like almost looked like a spark or like a jolt of like lightning hit him, but then he just like disappeared. And then he was just gone for like a week, and then they like hightailed it into town, went to the local police department, told them what happened.
Oh yeah, because they all went, didn't they? They all went straight to the police department.
Yeah, and they like didn't believe them, and they went to the area and stuff, and like found some weird marks, but obviously still didn't believe them. And I think that even like some of them were like apprehended and like accused of murder and stuff. But then he just turned up and was like, no, they didn't, you know, they haven't done anything to me.
That's like a full like movie plot.
Oh, I think that as well. Yeah,
that's so good. Yeah, that's such a good story.
He was on the Joe Rogan Experience as well.
Yeah,
he told his full story on the Joe Rogan Experience. Yeah,
I didn't realise it was that. Like, I thought it was a bit older.
The story is really old, but he was the guy was on the Joe Rogan Experience and told his whole story there, which was like really interesting.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's really good. It's definitely Travis something. But anyway, I'll get on with this this other missing 411 case. So this one's a lot more recent. This is October the 1st, 2010. On October the 1st, 2010, a 3.5-year-old boy that simply is going by John Doe and his relatives were camping by a popular fly fishing location near Mount Shasta in California. At around 6 p.m, the child's parents realised their son had suddenly gone missing. According to Mr. Doe, his youngster was there one second and simply gone the next. They scoured the area he had last been seen in complete panic-stricken horror. After hours of feverishly searching, the little boy still had not turned up. Now desperate, the distraught father decided to call local police deputies and United States Forest Service officers. Rescue personnel combed the forest well into the night, yet there was no sign of their toddler. 5 hours after John had disappeared, authorities found him laid down on the brush directly next to a trail that had been previously searched. He appeared to be dazed and in a semi-conscious state. Mr. and Mrs. Doe attributed this to exhaustion, and were simply grateful their little one returned physically unharmed. Medical staff gave full clearance, so the freshly reunited family were permitted to return home. Everyone's lives quickly went back to normal, yet only a few weeks later the small boy would share a disturbing tale about what happened while he was missing. One day, John's grandmother Kathy, who he called Cappy, was playing with her grandson. Suddenly, he looked towards her and said that he didn't like the other Grandma Cappy. Confused, she asked him what exactly he meant. John explained that when he went missing in the woods, he had been taken deep inside a mountainside cave by a woman he thought was Grandma Cappy. She led him into a cool, dark room filled with motionless humanoids. Scattered across the floor were dusty purses, guns, and various other types of instruments and weapons. As John anxiously faced his grandparent in the cave, he noticed an eerie light that was radiating from her head. In this moment, he realised that she was not the real Granny. Then, Cappy firmly instructed the boy to defecate onto a piece of paper. When he refused, she became increasingly agitated and repeatedly requested him to do so. Eventually, the grandma lookalike succumbed to frustration and moved on to a different topic. Allegedly, she informed John that he had been planted in his mother's womb before birth, and that he was not actually his father's son. Shortly after this extraordinary account, she took the boy back outside to a thicket and simply told him to wait there for help. Upon hearing this disturbing story, an outraged Kathy called her son and demanded to know what he was allowing her grandchild to watch on television. Mr. Doe lamented that he had heard an identical recollection only a few days prior from his son. Initially, the two chalked it up to an overactive imagination. Yet the more Kathy thought about it, the more John's story perplexed her. What kind of TV show would feature some of the ludicrous topics that the boy described? Even more chilling was the idea that she might have some kind of doppelganger assuming her identity in order to abduct small children. With those particular thoughts in mind, Kathy decided to share a haunting experience of her own, which came to the forefront of her memory after her grandson had told her this experience. Only a year before, while she was camping in close proximity to where her grandson, John, went missing, she awoke one morning face down in the dirt, like yards and yards from her tent. Somehow she had been inexplicably removed from her sleeping bag inside of her tent and transferred a distance away. Upon waking, she felt an intense pain at the base of her neck, and there were 2 puncture wounds that were present, and the surrounding skin was red and inflamed. Her friend, who accompanied her on the excursion, suffered an exact and matching affliction.
Well, that's just weird, isn't it?
The pair originally attributed these injuries to a possible spider bite, thinking that maybe they were bitten in the night and in a daze they sort of wandered from their tent and then sort of passed out in the mud. But obviously after her grandson told her this ordeal, she's then starting to think, like, was there something more weird going on? After this had happened, both Kathy and her travel companion became violently ill. In fact, she was so sick that she could not even muster the strength to pack her things. Her mind raced as she desperately tried to recall what happened mere hours ago. Only one thing surfaced: glowing red eyes. While she was drifting into slumber, she remembered seeing several creatures gazing through the darkness of her around her campsite. At the time, she assumed that it was probably just a herd of deer. Following this traumatizing outing, Kathy felt completely drained of her creativity and emotions. Several months would pass before she felt like her old self again. Admittedly, Grandma Cappy would have dismissed her episode had John not come forward with his first-hand encounter. Legends and lore pertaining to Mount Shasta have existed throughout the centuries. Indigenous Native American tribes chronicled a fallen race of prehistoric giants that were said to inhabit the region in caves. Others claim beings known as Lemurians used local underground cave systems as entrances to an underground crystalline city called Telos. Some allege a large energetic vortex is present within the territory that is unknown or unexplained by science. In modern times, there have also been a startlingly high amount of UFO and Bigfoot sightings reported in the area. Each year, 26,000 visitors flock to the revered mountain from countries across the globe. There have been an alarmingly high number of curious missing persons cases within this picturesque terrain. While John Doe's incident seems unbelievable, it's important to consider the odd history and happenings afflicting the area. Whatever is going on in Mount Shasta, one thing is for sure: there are many instances that have taken place since the dawn of mankind that remain, to this day, a mystery. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That was awesome, man. Why was he going by John Doe?
John Doe is what you call yourself if you don't want to be known to the public.
Yeah, I knew it was like the anonymous voice, but I was just wondering why you would have gone by.
Well, maybe you just didn't want to be like harassed.
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's like if you're like a female, you go by Jane Doe, don't you? Yeah. Or like sometimes they'll call it as well, like, you know, if they like find like say like somebody that's dead or something, but they can't find any ID, they'll bury them as John Doe. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I'd like to go to Mount Shasta and see what's going down there.
It's weird. There's like a weird race called Lemurians going on about like
children's poo as well. What was that about?
She wanted them to poo on some paper.
Yeah.
Weird old fake granny.
Yeah. I love to think that there's like these underground or these cave systems, and like I love it like when we see things, you know, cities that get found and stuff, or like you were saying about that the other day about something. Was it? There's an underground place that's just been found, and it was like
with
really
like all
big.
the tunnels, and there was like loads of layers. You remember you were talking about this?
I literally was reading about one last night, and it was really interesting. Apparently, like during the Renaissance period, so about like 1500. literally there was this like basically like cleaner in Rome who was like essentially that's like housekeeping that was like sweeping up, and then he accidentally fell into fell down a hole, and then sort of looked around him and realised that he was in this like intricate sort of tunnel network, and then he followed the tunnel to the end and then came into this like room, this like these like intricate rooms made of pure gold, and then when he found his way out, and then like the sort of historians of the day went down there, they realised that he'd like accidentally discovered like Emperor Nero's like lost golden sort of like rooms. Whoa. And he had these like hidden rooms that only like him and his like servants knew the way to, where he would just like lounge and just like have these like his
gold rooms.
Yeah, and he's like have these like hidden parties and stuff like that, just like, you know, these like sacred rooms, and like, but they were like lost to time, and a lot of people didn't even know if they were even like really real. And he just like fell down this hole one day in Rome.
That's cool.
And like it had been like, you know, thousands of years since Nero had died by that point. So they'd been like lost for like thousands of years, and then he just like fell down this hole and just found these like amazing rooms. So cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I love to think there's just these big caves and stuff.
Yeah. It's weird that they, you know, were saying about like those Native Americans have those tales of like what they called Lemurians that had this like underground city called Telos, and that there were also like giants, these strange giants that lived in the caves.
I've heard of Lemurians, because there was. I thought.
Not to be confused with lemurs.
Not lemurs, not those pesky lemurs.
No,
Lemurians. Yeah, it was like a race, like a forgotten race, like a bit like Atlantis, but the Lemurian was like another one. You know.
Yeah.
I remember like reading about it ages ago.
We'll have to do some more research on it and talk about it some more on the pod.
100%. So weird that there's like loads of these 411 cases as well, where people just disappear, turn back up later, and then they've got like some weird story that's happened to them.
Yeah, or as I said, like, the most sad ones are where like somebody just doesn't ever turn up again. I just think like, you know, as like a parent, that would be like the worst thing, man.
Yeah, like my friend Raul's brother, who I met in Peru, his brother disappeared in Machu Picchu, and just never to be seen again. Just a hat and a little letter.
When you told me about that, I was like, whoa.
A letter?
Yeah, just his hat, and like this little letter with some weird drawings on it.
And he knew it was his brother's hat, obviously.
Yeah, and just to the entrance of this like little cave, like not a deep cave, just a little cave, and then like they never found his brother again. And like Machu Picchu, you've got to go up like a trail. It's like what's it called? The Inca Trail.
Yeah. It takes about a day to walk to.
Yeah,
to your destination.
Kind of only way to it, and it's quite. You know what I mean? There's not like loads of like woods and stuff. It's like just kind of mountainous and things. So you think that they knew exactly when he went there and everything, but yeah, just never saw him again. He had like a UFO sighting with his brother as well, and he said he was like kind of connected with some weirdness. So yeah.
Jesus.
That's a bit strange.
Man, I love this Mystery Mondays now, because I feel like it brings out so many little stories that we like almost forget to tell on the pod.
Yeah,
definitely,
you know what I mean?
Man?
Definitely, man.
That's such a good story.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Right, so this has been Mystery Mondays. Hope that everybody has a good week and isn't abducted by any grandma lookalikes or giants or Lemurians or abducted by aliens or Bigfoots. And hopefully you can join us again next week for another tantalizing mystery.
Oh yeah.
So long for now.